Murray, who is black, had called 911 to report a domestic disturbance. His family's attorney says he was trying to protect his mother. The Washington Post reports that Murray followed the police officer's commands and had his hands up, but was still shot in the chest. Officials in Indianola have voted to place the police officer on paid administrative leave while the case is investigated by the state.
After Adarian rounded that corner and met the police officer, he was shot one time in the chest, where he collapsed to the ground. Apparently, after being shot, he was screaming, "What did I do wrong? Why was I shot?" According to medical officials, he suffered a collapsed lung, a lacerated liver, several broken ribs, was rushed to the hospital where he was then put on a ventilator. But the silver lining in all of this, in this terrible story, is that he apparently has been soldiering through treatments at the hospital, and just a day ago was treated at the hospital and released back to the custody of his family. He's doing okay. The mother spoke about what kind of blessing this was that her family got through this. Listen to this.
He's blessed. I don't know how else to describe it, how he survived. That's the only thing I can say, that he was blessed. He have a lot of questions. He asked me in the hospital, like, why they shot him. He was in good spirit, but every now and then I look over at him and he'll just cry.
There is not only police body cam video, but also unreleased gas station security cam video that has not been shown to the public yet.
This little boy's picture alone makes me weak. I look at the flannel shirt, that innocent face. How innocent is he now? Nicola Murray had instructed 11-year-old Adarian to call the police for help as the father of another one of her kids became increasingly hostile. That officer he called for arrived and instead shot Adarian. Darian's family is now being represented by Carlos Moore, the attorney now on this case. Moore has exposed the officer, Sergeant Greg Capers, on social media. Moore filed a request with police to release the footage, but was denied due to an ongoing investigation. Moore confirmed that the Indianola board, of aldermen voted to place Capers on paid administrative leave. This man not only deserves to be terminated, but he needs to be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law, Moore said during a press conference. I go back to the before and after, Tizzy, because before this horrific, life-endangering, close call shooting, this boy and his mother believed they could call the police and get help.
That's the worst part for me. The fact that he saw something that he felt was a threat to him and his mother, and that he went to the people he's supposed to go to for help. He went to the police. He called the police to come help. And then even then, when they came, and they're giving instructions, he understood. They don't know that I'm the good guy and there's a bad guy. I'm going to come out with my hands up. I'm going to do what I'm told. And then he gets shot. And I think it goes back to something that I say with a lot of these incidents. There's an old expression: when all you have is a hammer, everything looks like a nail. And time again, it feels that way with police-involved shootings. Like, the go-to default is shoot. They call for a mental health check or for a wellness check. Someone gets shot. It's like too many people programmed to believe, going into every situation, I need to be ready to shoot or else I'm going to die. And they have their hammer, and everybody looks like a nail, and they just start swinging. And this young man got shot as a result. Thank God he is alive. That could have been worse. But will he ever trust the police again? Will he ever call them for help again? I have no idea.
I don't either, but I'm reminded of an officer in Cleveland. He said they're programmed, so are we. Too many of us are programmed to believe that this is good policing and just doing what they're supposed to do to protect. There was an officer in Cleveland who had shot so many and received awards for it. We got to do better. I hope that little boy continues to recover.
You know what makes it so sad about the situation? That little boy, that 11-year-old boy, trying to save not only himself, but his mother's life. Because he see a threat. He called 911 because he asked the officers to help them. And thank God that the 11-year-old boy is alive and kicking. Because that could have been worse, just like the guy said. But how many stories that we have to hear time and time again that an 11-year-old black boy been shot by police. He was unarmed because he called the police to tell that his mother needs help. She's in trouble. And didn't that happen to Tamir Rice? I mean, even though this is a different situation, but Tamir Rice only have a toy gun. And the Cleveland police officer, Tim Lohman, shot Tamir Rice no later than 2 seconds. When I saw this video of that 11-year-old boy, it breaks my heart because it could have been my son. That could have been my nephew. Hell, it could have been my cousin. And he called 911 to help, to say, officer, my mom is in danger. Come and help us. And officers just shot the 11-year-old boy. You can tell you can see he's a black cop. All he gets so far was a paid administrative leave pending an investigation. I see stories after stories of police-involved shootings. Majority of them are unarmed. And that 11-year-old boy shouldn't have been shot that night. All he did was trying to do the right thing. And in my opinion, that 11-year-old boy is a hero. He saved his mother's life that night. And yet, you're not going to even fire him. And I agree with Sharon Reed on this. Not only he should have been fired, terminated, but he should have been prosecuted. Because that 11-year-old boy would have died. And this is a perfect example of why people in the black community, they don't want to deal with police officers anymore. They don't even call 911. They don't even want to deal with them because of all these incidents that happen across this country. All he did was calling 911 to save his mother's life because he felt that his mother was in danger. And what did that officer do? The officer told him, and he complied. That 11-year-old boy complied. He walked out, and the officer shot that 11-year-old boy anyway. Well, I'm telling you, things are not going to change. These police officers are basically going to defend this, and they're going to do whatever they can to protect these officers. But how they going to protect this? How are they going to protect an 11-year-old boy being shot, unarmed, just try to help his mother, save her life? This is unacceptable. And I'm just waiting for these people to run their mouths and say, well, what that 11-year-old boy do? I don't want to hear none of that right now. He was only 11. He was a child. All he did was to call 911 to save his mother, to protect his mother, because he feels that her life was in danger. But this is a story about police officers treated people in the black community for years now. And this hasn't changed. Y'all let me know what you think about this. I'll talk to you in the next video. This is Langston signing off. Deuces.